After a controversial game at St James's Park, with injuries mounting, Newcastle fading in second halves, the transfer window can freshen the squad.
I could see that as a very real possibility.
So from revealing the left-back target to the four-man shortlist, surely January is going to be massive. But we'll also have to discuss the things we learned in Newcastle United 2 Chelsea 2. As per, join us as we'll break it all down.
Let's go!
So starting off, Nick Woltemade's masterclass against Chelsea served as a definitive statement of resilience, effectively erasing the memory of a recent own goal against Sunderland through a display of elite modern centre-forward play. His involvement in the first half was comprehensive and purposeful, marked by 19 total touches, 5 of which occurred within the opposition's penalty area with 2 goals, considerably more than he managed in the entire game against their local rivals. This performance represented a drastic statistical improvement over his previous performance against local rivals, illustrating a player who was deeply engaged in the tactical flow. By registering an 8.5 match rating and securing 2 goals from just 3 shots, Woltemade demonstrated a lethal efficiency that kept the Chelsea backline in a state of constant fear. The technical quality of his performance was highlighted by his ability to blend physical hold-up play with intricate flair. His first goal was a product of pure striking instinct, capitalizing on a rebound after Robert Sanchez denied Anthony Gordon, while his second featured a sophisticated first-time flick from another Gordon delivery. These contributions elevated his season total to 9 goals across all competitions. However, the performance was also a reminder of the fine margins in top-tier football. Despite his dominance, a missed opportunity to secure a hat-trick before the interval proved costly for Newcastle, suggesting that while his recovery was remarkable, his clinical edge still has room for further growth. From a historical perspective, Woltemade's early brace placed him in esteemed company, making him only the 4th Newcastle player to score twice within the opening 20 minutes of a Premier League fixture at St James's Park, joining the likes of Andy Cole, Duncan Ferguson, and Jacob Murphy. His impact also resonates on a broader scale within the league, as he became just the 4th player in Premier League history, alongside Robbie Fowler, Paul Scholes, and Sergio Aguero, to net a double against Chelsea within that same 20-minute window. With 7 goals in 14 in the league, this rapid start underscored a rapid redemption that transcended mere statistics, asserting his status as a big-game specialist. The Germany international's influence on the club's record books is already becoming profound. With 7 Premier League goals, he has surpassed the combined total of every other German player in Newcastle's history, including Dietmar Hamann. Furthermore, his ability to perform against the league's elite is statistically elite. His 3 goals against Big Six clubs this season is second only to Erling Haaland's 4. Woltemade is not just filling a gap in the Magpies' attack, he is evolving into a cornerstone of their offensive identity, proving that he possesses the psychological fortitude to bounce back from individual errors to compete with the league's most prolific scorers. And speaking after the game, he was thankful. "Last week was not a good week or good game for me. When I came into the Carabao Cup game on Wednesday, the crowd sang my name, which was so lovely. It was amazing, and I knew they still liked me even when I scored the own goal. I wanted to give a good performance versus Chelsea, and I think I did. I just want to say thank you to the fans for still being good with me." As Alexander Isak went of injured, it's sad what's happening to him. Personally, I wouldn't wish this for him.
It's my personal enjoyment at this advanced age to remind everybody at every opportunity that he's a liar. I will live to piss on his grave. Even if I'm in a walker, my wife already has instructions. She's out of the will. If she doesn't get me there, if I'm not ambulatory, I'll find Vince Russo's grave and I will piss on it, and there will be a picture of that hanging on my wall when I pass away. And hate is a hell of a motivator.
Then moving on to the old Gordon performance. Anthony Gordon's performance against Chelsea was a masterclass in high-intensity wing play, serving as a powerful rebuttal to recent skepticism regarding his form. In a display that mirrored the explosive energy of his 2023-24 breakout season, Gordon acted as Newcastle's primary offensive engine and defensive instigator. Over 72 minutes of action, he registered a 7.9 match rating, underpinned by a perfect 100% shot accuracy on 2 attempts, and an 81% passing success rate. His tactical discipline was evident early on. It was his aggressive press that dispossessed Wesley Fofana, triggering the transition that eventually led to Nick Woltemade's 4th-minute opener. The first half in particular saw Gordon at his most formidable, dictated by a statistical profile that blended creative flair with defensive grit. Within the opening 45 minutes, He recorded 26 touches, won 5 duels, and was fouled 3 times, illustrating his role as the focal point of Chelsea's defensive concerns. His efficiency was further highlighted by 2 chances created and a decisive assist, an inch-perfect in-swinging cross that doubled the lead. Defensively, he contributed 2 tackles and 2 touches in the opposition box, effectively functioning as a tempo setter who forced Chelsea into constant retreat. Beyond the raw data, the performance was defined by a sense of missed justice. Gordon was arguably denied a clear penalty after a forceful body check from Trevoh Chalobah in the 54th minute, a moment that could have fundamentally altered the match's trajectory. Despite being substituted in the 72nd minute, his impact remained the blueprint for Newcastle's early dominance. By combining 2 big chances created with 2 tackles won, Gordon proved he is once again the archetypal modern winger, a player capable of dismantling an elite defense through a mixture of industrial work rate and technical precision. Talking about the first half, Newcastle's first half dominance against Chelsea was a statistical masterclass that ultimately gave way to a familiar collapse, highlighting a growing disconnect between the team's elite offensive output and its defensive fragility. During the opening 45 minutes, the Magpies transformed St James Park into a tactical parking lot for the visitors, restricting Chelsea to 0 shots on target. Offensively, Newcastle continued a historic trend under Eddie Howe. By scoring twice before the interval, they have now averaged exactly 2.0 goals per home game across his 80-match tenure, totaling 160 goals. Furthermore, they maintained their reputation as the league's fastest starters, having now scored 8 goals in the opening 5 minutes of Premier League matches since the start of last season, the highest tally in the division. The transition from dominance to a 2-2 draw can be traced through a sharp decline in physical intensity and questionable individual moments in goal. Tactical data revealed that Newcastle's man-to-man press was only sustainable for the first 30 minutes, during which Chelsea's build-up pass completion was stifled at 74%. As fatigue set in, this figure surged to 82% for the remainder of the match, allowing the visitors to dictate the tempo. This physical fade coincided with a difficult afternoon for Aaron Ramsdale, who has struggled to fill the void left by Nick Pope's groin injury. While Ramsdale's distribution is a known asset as seen with his 20 accurate passes, his positioning for Reece James's 30-yard free kick was heavily scrutinized. Despite the central location of the set piece, Ramsdale's decision to favor his left an exploitable gap that James found with precision. For the equalizer, his lack of presence in the one-on-one against João Pedro stood in stark contrast to Pope's traditional shot-stopping strengths, reinforcing why the veteran remains a huge miss, despite his 33 years of age. Eddie Howe's post-match reflections pointed to a systemic issue rather than a purely mental one, though the statistics are increasingly difficult to ignore. Newcastle have now dropped 13 points from winning positions this season, a league high alongside Brentford. Had they secured these leads, they would be currently level on 37 points with Arsenal at the top of the table. Instead, they sit in 11 on the log, hampered by a 10-game stretch without a clean sheet, the longest such run of Howe's career. While the manager insists the team is stepping forward, the reality of conceding in the second half, while having dominated so much during the first period, suggests that the inability to sustain performance levels is the primary concern to our local and European ambitions. Looking at the defense, Newcastle's defensive structural integrity has undergone a startling regression, marked by a current 10-game streak without a clean sheet, the longest such drought of the Eddie Howe era. This painful run represents the club's most concerning defensive period since the 14-match stretch between August and November 2021, which spanned the tenures of 3 different managers. The decline is particularly jarring given that the Magpies began the 2025-26 campaign with an elite defensive record, securing 5 shutouts in their opening 7 Premier League fixtures. However, a massive injury crisis has decimated the backline. Nick Pope's early season form dipped before he was sidelined by injury, followed by Tino Livramento, Dan Burn, and Sven Botman, forcing a radical and often desperate reshuffling of personnel. Amidst this instability, individual performances have provided a necessary, if insufficient, level of resistance. Lewis Hall's return against his former club Chelsea was a rare highlight. Despite battling hamstring tightness, he secured a 7.4 match rating and won a match-high 10 duels. Hall's technical reliability was evident in his 88% passing accuracy, 21 of 24, and 10 total defensive contributions, providing a stabilizing presence as one of only 3 fit senior defenders available. Alongside him, 19-year-old midfielder Lewis Miley was forced to deputize at right back for the second consecutive game. While naturally out of position, Miley registered an impressive 7.2 rating, completing 100% of his dribbles and making 9 recoveries. His defensive industry was statistically significant, including 3 interceptions, 3 clearances, and a 75% success rate in aerial duels, 3 of 4, though his 40% ground duel success rate, 2 of 5, hinted at the physical toll of his tactical reassignment. The tangible cost of this defensive fragility is reflected in Newcastle's inability to protect leads, having dropped 13 points from winning positions this season, the joint highest total in the Premier League alongside Brentford. This statistical leak has fundamentally altered their trajectory. Had they maintained those advantages, the club would currently sit level on points with league leaders Arsenal. Instead, they remain stagnant in 11th place, unable to string together more than one instance of back-to-back victories. With Manchester United and Burnley up next in the festive schedule, the pressure mounts to fix a backline that has conceded in every game for over 2 months. The gap between their current reality and a potential Champions League qualification spot, currently occupied by Chelsea, is defined entirely by these defensive lapses. For sure, Newcastle United's defensive crisis has reached a critical juncture, necessitating a strategic pivot toward versatile young talent in the upcoming January transfer window. To address the mounting injury toll, the club has identified Toulouse's breakout star Diane Methely as a priority target to bolster a backline that has lacked both depth and consistency. The 19-year-old Frenchman, who stands at 6 feet 2, embodies the succession planning model favored by sporting director Ross Wilson. Methely has been a revelation in League One this season, starting 14 of his 16 appearances and demonstrating a statistical profile that suggests he can seamlessly transition into Eddie Howe's high-demand system. With a left-footed profile that allows him to cover both left-back and central defense, he offers a direct solution to the gaps left by the long-term absences of Sven Botman and Dan Burn. Methely's statistical output in France underscores a player who balances defensive grit with modern ball-playing capabilities. He averages 2.1 tackles and 0.7 interceptions per game, while his recovery rate of 35 balls per match highlights an elite reading of the game for his age. Crucially for a team that in 8th position, Methely is rarely beaten, being dribbled past only 0.2 times per game. His distribution is equally impressive. He maintains a 77% overall passing accuracy, which rises to 85% within his own half, and has already registered an expected assists (XA) value of 1.09 this season. This blend of defensive security and offensive contribution, evidenced by his 1 assist and big chance created, makes him a natural competitor for Lewis Hall, while providing the physical frame needed for Premier League central defense. The urgency for such a signing is reinforced by Newcastle's staggering defensive regression, which has seen them go 10 games without a clean sheet after starting the season with 5 in 7. Beyond his club form, Methely's recent ascent to the France under-21 squad, where he notably scored a brace on his debut, further validates his high-priority status on Newcastle's wish list. While a massive spending spree is not anticipated, a move for Methely represents a targeted, athletic upgrade designed to lower the squad's average age and provide immediate insurance against further injuries. If the Magpies can secure his signature, they will be acquiring a player whose statistical reliability and multi-positional utility could be the key to stabilizing a defense that is currently beyond stretched. For sure, Newcastle United's recruitment strategy for the January window has shifted toward elite European youth, as sporting director Ross Wilson seeks to lower the squad's average age while navigating a market where value is found outside the Premier League. According to Craig Hope, 4 primary midfield targets have emerged, led by Monaco's 21-year-old Lamine Camara. A quintessential all-action box-to-box midfielder, Camara has maintained an elite 89.6% passing accuracy across League One and Champions League play this season. His tactical profile is tailor-made for the physical demands of English football, though his current involvement with Senegal at AFCON, where he remains one of the tournament's standout young performers, may complicate the timing of a mid-season move. The club is also prepared to make an ambitious bid for AZ Alkmaar sensation Kees Smit. The 19-year-old has been a statistical outlier in the Eredivisie and UEFA Conference League, providing 5 assists and 2 goals while averaging nearly 11 kilometers of distance covered per match. Smith's market value has surged to over €22 million following his recent debut for the Netherlands under-21 side, making him one of the most sought-after teenagers in Europe. Should a move for Smith prove too complex, Newcastle have positioned Auxerre's Kevin Danois as a high-ceiling alternative. The 21-year-old France under-21 international has become a mainstay for the League One side, recording 15 appearances and demonstrating a versatility that allows him to operate as both a standard central midfielder and a defensive anchor. Rounding out the shortlist is Feyenoord's Luciano Valente, a 22-year-old whose creative metrics are particularly impressive. Valente currently ranks in the 95th percentile for touches and the 77th percentile for chances created among Eredivisie midfielders, boasting 30 chances created and an 85.6% passing success rate this season. This emphasis on high ceilings suggests the club is prioritizing players who can develop into long-term fixtures rather than short-term stopgaps. However, the arrival of new talent likely hinges on outgoings. Joe Willock has emerged as a primary candidate for departure, with Crystal Palace reportedly ready to offer upwards of £20 million to bring the midfielder back to London. Willock's exit could provide both the squad space and the financial flexibility needed to execute Wilson's succession planning. Then finally, if you would like to know the most scary truth about Nick Woltemade, click the video link on screen now.